All right, ready to get to some questions? We've got a couple here for you, Mark. One just coming in on the text line. I'll get to that. We'll read the one that came in before. And by the way, we may answer any of these on our future Feel Good Friday segments. You can text in 781-837-4900. All right, today's question comes from Alan from Halifax. Alan listens every Friday, says, Mark, a while back I heard you talking about some strategies for sellers. Can you tell us more and explain what you meant by the Use and Occupancy Agreement? I would like to know more about that.
Great question, Alan. And thank you for listening and paying attention, because a lot of sellers are in a quandary, right? Rock in a hard place. If I sell, where do I go? What are some of the solutions to this? And our tagline at Styles Law, we specialize in solutions, Rob. So we laid out a bunch of options for sellers to open up the opportunity to sell and move and create a successful strategy so they're not homeless, right? Because that's the fear right now, is if I sell my home and I can't find a home, then I'm under contract, what do I do? And we talked about certain contingencies, but what Alan was talking about is the Use and Occupancy Agreement. So what that is also referred to as the rent back, lease back, and a lot of real estate professionals are using this with success, but I know that there's a lot of confusion out there and there's vagaries. And what I always encourage people to do, right, be proactive, not reactive. You don't want to wait and negotiate this very, very important document near the end, right? So a lot of people are skeptical. They don't want to get into this unknown, right? You want to be upfront and explain exactly what you're talking about in advance so that the buyers are aware, right? So we talk about good faith negotiations, right? Good faith negotiations are typically more prevalent in the beginning of a transaction than the end, right? Because maybe something happened, maybe it's been really stressful, maybe it's been really challenging for one side or both, or the multitude of parties involved, they're starting to fatigue with one another, right? So you have the better ability up front. A lot of people are saying, let's do a lease back, and it's vague, and then a week before the closing there's a negotiation, and it's wild and crazy, and it isn't what one person thought it was going to be, and then all of a sudden there's ill feeling. So those things negotiate up front, right? How long are we going to allow the seller to stay? Because it is a tremendous strategy, Alan, and I'm glad you brought this up, because that seller now goes into the market as a cash buyer with 60 days to execute, and it's very, very doable. Right? So that person has 60 days to be a cash buyer. I'm not subject to sale, which I'm encouraging sellers to be more open now to sale contingencies. Give these buyers an opportunity to sell their house because it's going to sell. So be very open-minded to someone coming with a sale contingency. Give them a fair shot. But the use and occupancy, it's not a lease, and it's really important that people know that we're not creating a landlord-tenant relationship. It's a licensing agreement. It's allowing that person to stay. So hopefully everybody understands and is entering into it in good faith, right? What's the risk, right? Attorneys always have to look at the downside and what the ultimate risk, worst case scenario is. The seller stays, right? And then you're in an eviction process. But you have this document that outlines and gets in front of that. It's proactive, right? So here's a security deposit should you damage the property after closing, because I'm going to own it, right? I'm going to own it and you're going to be living in it. If you damage it, here's a security deposit. And also you think, okay, wait, I'm owning it, they're living in it, what about insurance? So there's an indemnity language in there, which a lot of insurance companies use contracts to shift liability. That has to be in there. And then there's a time frame, like how long are we going to give them? If the buyer is utilizing conventional financing, then they are required to move in 60 days, right? If it's your primary residence and you're using conventional finance, you're acknowledging and you're stating to the lender that's lending you the money that I'll move in to this primary residence within 60 days. So if those factors are there, then it only can be 59 days. Now, if someone's paying cash or they're not using conventional financing or something to that extent, then it could be more flexible, but it needs to be negotiated up front. Be proactive. So what are you going to do day to day? Are you going to charge the seller, or is this going to be an olive branch to help with your negotiations that says you can have up to this amount? Don't worry about it. Buyer, put that in your spreadsheet. You're adding that to the purchase price, right? You're giving that person 2 months of you having to pay your expenses, right? So you want to be upfront. This, we suggest, be negotiated at the stage of the offer, not at the purchase and sale agreement, not after the purchase and sale agreement, but at the offer, so everybody's clear upfront exactly what the respective responsibilities are.
All right. If you want to find out more, go to styles-law.com. And Mark, we had one quick question. I think you'll be able to answer this quickly. It just came in from Vin in Boston. Good morning.
Hey, Vin.
Can you ask Mark if he is planning another shred show this year? I have my boxes of paper ready as well as food to donate. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we are doing it. We actually mentioned that last week. That was actually what we were feeling good about last week.
Yeah.
So, Vin, thank you for reinforcing that. June 11th at our offices on State Road 139. We look forward to seeing you there. And as we do this for the food pantry, we want to remind everybody that non-perishable foods is great, but checks are better. They actually get 4 times the power. We learned that last year when we delivered everything to our local food pantry. So looking forward to seeing everybody June 11th. It's probably going to be just as beautiful as it is today.
All right. Thank you, Vin. And thank you, Mark Stiles. People can go to the website and, of course, connect with you.
That's right. We can be reached at styles-law.com or Styles-Estates, which is our estate planning arm. And if you mention listening to Feel Good Friday, we are still delivering estate plans for 20% discount if you mention Feel Good Friday.
Ooh, sounds good. Feel Good Friday. Mark Stiles. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Rob. Have a great week.
You too.